Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Build. I'm your host, Carrie Justick. Behati Prinsloo is a supermodel known worldwide for her work with Victoria's Secret and her appearances in numerous magazines and campaigns. But after gaining international fame, the model, mother, and wife to Adam Levine is returning home to Namibia to help save the rhinos. Let's take a look at her work with Save the Rhinos Trust.
Can you tell Travis what Mommy's gonna do in Africa? Play, but what else?
Save the rhinos.
Save the rhinos?
Yeah, purple.
Are you gonna do that one day too?
Purple.
I know it's purple in the fire. So this journey started for me because this year was the year for me for actions over words, and I wanted to do something. I wanted to make a change. I want to be part of the change, and I think I want to inspire the youth to do the same and to feel the same urgency I feel for changing our ways and for changing our thought process about how we do a lot of things on this planet. So I took 3 of my friends with me, Travis, Hugh, and Sam, and decided to go on this journey and to go educate ourselves and put it on film. We've also learned between 1960 and 1995, the black rhino numbers have dropped, I think, 98%, which is crazy. In the meantime, it has stabilized a little bit because of the intense passion, I feel like, on the ground of people who want to save these animals and who don't want these beautiful animals to be extinct. To see these rhinos roam freely is my goal. It was incredibly inspiring seeing what these trackers do on a daily basis to make sure that the black rhino doesn't get poached and becomes extinct. They cover, I think, 28 miles a day on foot, trying to track the rhinos. They stay out for 21 days on foot in the middle of nowhere in the desert to make sure that they didn't lose any rhinos to poaching. The passion these trackers have for what they do is really, really inspiring. And I wanted to kind of be their mouthpiece and have other people see what they do. I mean, it's amazing. It's definitely not just an African problem. It's a global problem. If there's no demand from the outside world, there will be no poaching. If we can educate the youth and educate people all around the world, I think that we can make a change. And I think we have to make a change in order for this planet to survive. Human beings have to change, and it's going to start with the young generation, the new generation. I want to inspire people. I want to educate people. I want them to know that it isn't out of their hands. It's not too hard to make a difference. I wanted to show my kids what a brighter future looks like, what a future looks like where human beings actually consider Mother Nature and take care of her and want to have her thrive, because without her and without the planet, we are nothing.
Behati, everybody.
Hi, everyone. Hi.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us. I was just saying to you, this whole video is beautiful.
Thank you.
And you were saying you were tearing up backstage.
Yeah, it's very emotional. I'm like, tearing up back there. But it was such a personal trip for me, and it's such a big issue that I felt so overwhelmed with kind of guilt of being so bad, us being so bad to the planet and stuff, and being a new mom, and really wanted to live by example for my 2 girls, and this being my home and this issue going on there was such a social responsibility that I
yeah, it was crazy. Watching it back every time, it gets me, you know. We had such a good time, and we learned so much, and educated ourselves on the issue.
So how did you even first get involved with Save the Rhinos Trust Namibia?
My friend Doutzen, who started the co-founder of Not on My Planet, she reached out to me and told me I need to meet this incredible woman, Ginger, who's standing right there, who is part of SRT and who they're doing incredible work, and I need to, you know, so she put us on email together. And it was at such a perfect time in my life. I just had my second baby, and I was so driven to do something and make a difference and use my platform for something else, you know, for a change. And so we started talking, and it was almost like we've known each other forever. And it was this very natural conversation, and we felt the same way about certain things. Mm-hmm. So that was in October, and this last October, and we went on the trip in May. So it was a very quick kind of, you know, turnaround for planning this whole trip and really involving people and bringing someone together that can document it and stuff. So that's how it all started.
And then you even just said you had to really educate yourself before getting involved and going on this trip. What type of things did you learn that really shocked you and maybe even drew you closer to the cause?
What shocked me is how little I feel like I knew a lot about poaching, and I knew just growing up in Africa, it's always, you know, you always think about it, and especially going on safari, and you're growing up in this area that is so rich in wildlife and nature that I really wanted to be part of something that was just bigger than me, you know. And I know I'm a little off topic. What was
some of the information you learned?
Oh yeah, we just learned. What shocked me was that 3 rhinos get poached every day for their horn in Africa, and in 10 years, if we don't change our ways and if we don't make a huge difference, they're going to be extinct, which is crazy to me because my girls are 1 and 2 now, and if they're 11 and 12, they're going to be gone. And I just felt like us as human beings can't be the reason that animals go extinct. So I really wanted to help.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting that you're even talking about your experience being from Africa, because I think for a lot of us who, I mean, I've never run around with rhinos before, I feel like people feel really disconnected. Yeah. Do you think that being from there made it feel more real to you?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it is my home, you know, but I wanted to go on this journey and kind of make people feel involved, you know. Because it is on a different side of the planet, you know, and why does it matter to everyone? And I think it's just about social conscious and us all being better in our everyday life. We don't all have to travel to Namibia to make a change. You know, it can start in your house. It starts with your kids. It starts with you and your husband, or you and your wife, or you and your parents, you know, where you make a social decision to be a better human being to Mother Nature. Mm-hmm. You know, and my journey took me all the way to Namibia because that's where I'm from. So to me, it really made sense, and I wanted to tell this story, but this story doesn't have to be everyone's story. You know, I just want us all to come together and have that start the dialogue of change and being better. And we just have no time. I feel like such an urgency with certain things going on in the world. And I think in order for our kids to have a future and have a planet, we really have to step up.
I love that your kids are so involved with this, because even in the video you said that this is the year of action over words, which I thought was really interesting. And I mean, it's definitely no coincidence that you just had 2 daughters recently, and then this is what kind of your mission for the year is. Can you explain a little bit more about how they kind of motivated you to get involved in something like this, and how even they're involved?
Yeah, I think becoming a mom, you're always, you know, you all of a sudden don't just put yourself first, you know. You're always, I think when you're younger, you're a little selfish, and you do things for yourself. And I think when you become a mom, you don't even think about it, but you really think about your kids' future, like what that's going to look like. You know, I'm 31 now, and I'm thinking about, you know, when I was when I was my kid's age, did my parents think about a planet not really being the way they grew up with it? That I'm getting all tangled in my words, but yeah, it definitely drove me. Having two kids definitely drove me to just take more action and not just send love and you know and this was such a no-brainer for me to go home and start my journey there.
I was going to say going home was probably a really exciting part about this. Could you have ever imagined that you would be going back to Namibia for a cause like this?
I always knew that I was going to do something in Africa. I have such an intense passion for the land, and my parents have been there for generations, and I've always wanted to go back and do something, and I've just always been so busy, and then I was pregnant, and then pregnant again. I just felt like it was never going to happen, and then me and Ginger connected, and it just opened up and made sense.
And of course, like you just said, you had your two children like a year and a half within each other, which is amazing. And I can imagine they're super close, and it's so much fun with two little ones under 3.
Yes.
But you were off of work for like close to 3 years. What were you doing during that time? Because even like you're saying, like you wanted to come back and not just model, but really use your voice for things like this. Was that something that you were really thinking about when you weren't working?
Yeah, there was definitely something. I've modeled. It's almost been 12 years now, even longer. I think with Victoria's Secret, it's been 12 years, which is crazy. So longer modeling, but I always wanted to use my voice for something different and something more and something that I'm very passionate about. And I think this industry definitely gave me such an incredible platform to do that. And so I wanted to, when I was pregnant, I realized as a human, like, I'm going to be fine. I think when you're in an industry and you're so in it, you sometimes feel like when you're not in it, everyone's going to forget about you. You kind of get anxiety and you're pregnant and you're hormonal and you're like, what am I going to do? And it felt so easy for me to throw myself into something else. And so I'm so excited. It's like a different chapter in my life, which I'm really excited about. And I'm not quitting, and I'm still, doing things, but I'm really trying to use my voice for better and really raise awareness on social and, issues that I'm passionate about. So.
Well, if anything, I feel like it kind of re-energized you, like made you ready to come back and come back even better and bigger.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and I know you've talked about how you really enjoyed that time and that time not working and, being pregnant, raising your daughter, pregnancy again, and, really focusing on your family, which is something that a lot of people don't get to do. But I wanted to hear from you, like, why you think it's so important.
Just to take the time when you're pregnant and stuff. I think society puts so much pressure on us as moms and as, working moms, and people feel the need to, which also moms need to work and moms need to feel independent and make money and, be that. But I think it's so important to take that time. You're not going to get it back. Your pregnancy, going through it, a lot happens in your mind and your body. And I think it's important to really nurture that and take care of yourself. And then after you have the baby, have time. Because those first years are so precious between you and this tiny human that you made, that I think that it's really, I was very lucky to be able to take time. Not everybody has that luxury. So, and I think that should be a luxury every mother has, is to take, 6 months, I don't know, 6 months to a year and work from home, or, don't feel that pressure to be back in the office or be so you can really experience this, moment in time.
Yeah, definitely. And even when you're talking about the pressure that a lot of people face going back to the workplace, going back to the office, for you, that's a whole different thing, because it's also going back to modeling, being in front of cameras, being in front of all of these people, and also talking about your experience as a mom. So what did you do to kind of make it easier on yourself to step back out, even like get back on a runway? Like, how do you kind of ease those expectations?
I think I eased it by not really having expectations. You know, I really didn't put pressure on myself. I felt healthy pressure. I felt like a healthy drive to get back because I was pregnant back to back, and it was, you know, it was crazy. And I was like, oh, I can't do this anymore. So I was excited to get back to work, actually. And I didn't go on crazy diets and try and kill myself to do it. But I was motivated. So, and I think, you know, back-to-back pregnancies really motivate you.
Everybody,
you know,
that's the key. You'll be just as successful as Behati if you just do that. And obviously, I think with both you and your husband, Adam, you're both in the spotlight. And I think it's really interesting because as parents, and especially as a mother, I'm sure you get asked about parenthood all the time, about being a mom. And I was curious what that experience is like for Adam. Do you think he gets like the same questions, or how is it different as a mom and a dad, you know, talking to the press, talking about being parents?
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I'm not a man or a father, so I don't know. But I think moms definitely get the more, like, you know, sometimes you'll feel, oh, everybody's judging me, or everyone, you know, this and that. Where I think dads kind of, they're like the fun parent, you know, in the beginning. And for Adam, I think he's so in love with his kids, and he's so excited to spend more time with them, and you know, his friends that have kids. We're lucky because we have a lot of friends, really close friends, and a lot of the band have kids and older kids. So we learn a lot from them, and they speak, and it's nice for him to have that connection with his bandmates and now have kids. So I mean, that's a question you also have to ask him, because I don't know.
And then when you guys are traveling, obviously we saw that you had at least one of your daughters. I don't know if both of them came, or was that in LA?
That was actually in LA, so
Okay.
I didn't bring the kids. They were
Okay.
too young to go on this trip, but I'm very excited to take them. But that was Dusty, and that was in LA, telling everyone what I'm going to do.
We're going to play.
Every time I asked her, I'm like, what am I, Mommy, going to do? The first thing was always play. And then the second, save the rhinos. Well, that's so funny, kids.
Priorities.
Kids are so sweet.
Have they been back to your home?
They have not yet.
Okay.
My parents have, because Gio just turned 1 and Dusty's 2, and my parents have been coming, you know, over here for a while, so it's been easy for us. But I'm very excited to take them back and show them, you know, where I grew up and what it's like. Because it's so different. They're going to be like, wow.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine. And obviously, they're so close in age. So what is it like parenting 2? Because you only had so much time as a parent to 1, but parenting 2 is like a whole different world.
I know. It's almost like when you have 1, you know, you can't imagine having 2, and then you have 2, and you're like, oh, this is so much crazier than just having 1, you know, so now I might as well have 3 or 4. But 2 definitely takes up, you know, I think for me the challenge is always to give them their own time as apart from each other, because they are so close in age. You can kind of treat them as twins, or, you know, they're always together. So my challenge is always just trying to raise them separately from each other too, and give them each their separate times with us and together. So.
And I know you've also talked about how with Gio it was a little easier since it was the second time around, but you also had opened up about dealing with postpartum depression after having Dusty, which that's incredible to just open up and be able to talk about things like that. And I can't imagine how that feels for you to open up about that. But also, did you have any fear going into your pregnancy with Gio after having experienced that?
You know, I felt the need to talk about postpartum depression a little bit, just because I experienced it on a very little, what's the word? Like a small scale, you know? And I felt that I needed to be the voice for moms who feel like, oh, my depression or my issue is not big enough to share. So for me, you know, in a sense, I got lucky because I had moments of this, but I got out of it quickly. But I wanted to share it to tell moms that no, it's never too small to talk about, because it is a serious issue, and we all, I think, in a sense, every mom goes a little bit through postpartum. You know, you're depleted, you're emotional. This is your first time, and I think with Gio, I really just kept positive, and Adam helped me a lot with that too. And I wasn't scared. I wasn't scared because I knew I had the support, and it's important to know that going into it. I think, and I no means know anything about or much about everyone's struggle with that, you know. So I wanted to open that dialogue and just tell moms and parents in general that it's okay to talk about the smallest things. Like, you know, it's not bad.
And how has your relationship, even with fans of yours, changed now that you're a mom? Because I'm sure when you talk about motherhood, there are so many people that have different responses to that.
Yeah, I think you have a lot in common with people that have kids, you know, and you can talk about that. And a lot of times around the dinner table with my friends that don't have kids, they're like, "Oh my gosh, can you guys just stop talking about kids?" I'm like, "I'm sorry," you know, but it does open up a different aspect of, you know, in your fans and people that admire, that you talk to and open up to. So it's cool.
I feel like you and all of the Victoria's Secret angels, like you're kind of growing up together, you know? Because really, when you think about it, you were just saying you've been there for 12 years. And I'm thinking about like you, when you first started there, it was, you were a different person. And now a bunch of you are, you know, married, having children, and you're kind of doing it together.
I know. It's really cool. It was such a family, you know? And especially Candace and Lily, we all kind of started at the same time. And now we all have kids, and we're, you know, doing other things,
parents
and
now.
we're those, you know, girls who show everyone their kid photos, and everyone's like, yeah, we've seen it, like, it's cool. You know, so it's fun, though.
Cute. And obviously Adam is leaving The Voice, which people are so upset about, but he will have more time. So is he going to get involved with Saving the Rhinos?
Adam is my #1 fan, and I love him for it. He's so excited about this project. You know, anything that he can do to help, I think he feels my passion, and also for our girls. I think it's so important to, and for him, because this is where I'm from, you know, so he takes it very seriously and wants to help in every way. And now that he has more time, I'm going to put him to work, you know.
I love that. I love that. We are going to head over to some audience questions.
Hi.
Hi.
What do you think what is the biggest lesson you have learned about yourself and life working on this project?
I think the biggest lesson I've learned is that we as human beings have such a social responsibility to be better. I think we just don't have, and for me, my lesson was, you know, I really needed to step up. The platform that I have is so important, and not everybody gets that. And I really felt the need to spread awareness and to use what I have for good as well, to, you know, to make this planet a better place for my kids, for everyone involved. So I think the biggest thing I've learned is just, also, we all have to come together. You know, you realize you can't do it alone. And just, you guys are giving me your platform. You know, we all have to come together, no matter what it is, to spread awareness and to be better humans.
I have to ask you, what makes you most hopeful after doing this project? Because like we're saying, there's a lot of, you know, there's not enough time, there's so much to do. What are you most hopeful about?
I'm definitely, when I went to Namibia and I saw that the SRT trackers who were on the ground doing the day-to-day, you know, staying out in the desert for 21 days on foot, trying to track the rhinos, making sure they're not being poached, I had so much hope. Because you see the front line of this warrior kind of fighting, and you realize the passion and intense love and dedication that goes into it, and that's why I'm so hopeful.
Great. And then we have one more audience question.
Hi, this question relates to the concept of fake science, which is obviously an oxymoron. How can we just better our knowledge to have the true facts about postpartum depression, as well as the facts, so to speak, which are not facts at all, that ground rhino horn cures fevers, it's an aphrodisiac, these kinds of things? How's the best way to get that message out?
Yeah, interesting. I'm not a scientist, and I know everything, but I think it's about education, and it's about reaching, especially with the rhino horn. I think it comes from China and Vietnam. A lot of those countries have such strong beliefs in medicinal properties of these animal and the horns, and scientifically, it's proven that that horn is keratin. It's the same protein as your fingernails and your hair. So it doesn't cure anything. You know, it's just an old wives' tale kind of thing. And I think it's about education and trying, the younger generation to realize that it's not true. So let's stop it. And I think that's all we can do, is kind of educate people on true scientific facts and what we know.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. I love that you're using your platform and your voice for this cause, because it is so important.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate you guys taking the time and giving me a moment.
Of course. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you.